To cut the 45-degree corners, I've switched to a cross-cut blade, which has a lot of fine teeth. And just for comparison, this is the rip blade that we were using, which has very few teeth. I'll use this shop-made guide to cut the 45-degree angles for the miters. It slides into table saw grooves. There's some fine sandpaper that helps support the wood being cut. The piece of wood I'm cutting is irregular, so if I just put it up against the fence here, it's hard to get it in the correct position. So I've got a piece of MDF filler board that I can just put in place, and then I get a good registration against the fence. For the miter on the other side, I just switch to the other fence and cut the same way. And there's no reason not to use the saw blade guard, so I'll put that on. You should always check to make sure this piece of the guide is lined up with the blade, which it is, because we don't want the wood to hit the guide. I'm clamping the wood to the fence so that there's absolutely no chance of it sliding while it's being cut. The piece of wood was made 3 inches longer than it needs to be, so I can cut about 1.5 inches off each end. That's handy because the ends often have a bit of a mess up in the cut as they came off of the blade or anything like that. I'll go very slowly over the blade, especially when I get to the final part of the cut, because I don't want to tear out into the good piece of the wood. As I was sliding that in, I was also pushing the whole jig to one side slightly, and that takes out any play that exists there so that I get a uniform cut. I can do a check to make sure the jig is cutting square, and it looks like it is. So back to our dimension drawing. This is the short piece for the top or the bottom, which we want to be 24.5 inches. So here I'm marking my 24.5. I've drawn a pencil line at the correct distance from the end, and I'm clamped on the other side of the fence. I'm just a little shy of the pencil line, so I'm going to take another very fine cut.